Welcome Evan Mendoza to the program.
Cardinals third baseman Evan Mendoza.
First giving it a look, finds the railing and he tumbles over, but he made the catch. Unbelievable, Evan Mendoza.
Gran jugada en Evan Mendoza, dos joyas defensivas.
Evan Mendoza makes a great
rounded up the middle. Mendoza throws off the shortstop. Mendoza field spins.
Mendoza throw to first in time. Wow, what a play by Evan Mendoza.
Mendoza to second for one. Oh my word, you've got to be kidding.
Evan Mendoza.
For Mendoza lifts one to left. An inning.
Mendoza, that one's sailing back there, and it's gone.
Now, those are some of the plays and the insights of playing baseball at the highest level, not just posting about it. Now, let's flip the script. Here's what my students and families have to say about working with me.
Just share his stories of the kids asking him, what did you do? And his one answer was one word: Evan.
It's an overall great program to improve your metrics, mental approach, your velocity, and your outreaching strategies. Because there's a ton of players I know that are way better than me that had zero offers because they don't know how to reach out to coaches.
Pretty much every possible number when I've gone up. I was high 70s and now I'm aiming for mid to high 80s and hitting the same thing. I was high 80s off machine and now I'm able to put some balls out in the mid 90s.
JT's motivation to want to do it at home, be proactive in his baseball career, and we are able to do these things for him, and it's self-motivated and he's taken that action. As a parent, you want to be able to say yes to something like that.
It's been making me feel much more confident. Like now going into the season, I feel I have all the ability I need and I can just play and trust that all the work I did will pay off.
Started working out, I was about 120, 115, about 160 now. I trusted it and it worked. If you want it, go get it. It's not going to come to you.
My EV was about 75 and my body weight was around 155, around that. Since I joined that, I'm up to almost 180 now and I'm hitting 80s, around mid 80s.
How much more kind of committed he was and how much more confident he became in his own progress, instead of questioning himself about, am I doing the right thing or is this the right thing? So you could kind of see the stress level decrease a little bit, and then that energy could be focused on really all of the program aspects, right? Or his workouts.
Do that. If you could get on and do what you said day in, day out, it's amazing. Like a game changer.
Through your program, I just realized how much more I could learn. I could just feel the improvement over the course of 4 or 5 months, like you said. I could feel the improvement myself. With you being able to supply me with this type of structure, I'm able to just learn for myself and learn how to improve by myself, which makes me feel a lot better as well as a lot more accomplished in the end.
You can give him guidance and he can always ask questions to you. I could see how he became more confident after talking to you every time. You are always there when he needs. I think it's really important to know or be told from someone professional like you.
It was a completely new experience for us. I think we were skeptical. We dove into some of the content. We realized how good it was and the quality of it. The way that you kind of worked with him and you set expectations for him, like, hey, these are the things I'm expecting from you, and that was a big part of why we enjoyed the program as well.
The program has made me a little eagerness to go out and do something and not just wait for the team practice and do things on my own.
As his dad, I can tell him till I'm blue in the face that this needs to be done. And sometimes it doesn't resonate coming from the dad. Sometimes it needs to come from a pro ball player.
Through your program, I just realized how much more I could learn. I could just feel the improvement over the course of 4 or 5 months, like you said. With you being able to supply me with this type of structure, I'm able to just learn for myself and learn how to improve by myself, which makes me feel a lot better as well as a lot more accomplished in the end.
I definitely recommend joining it. It's awesome. The community's great. Having you there to support you is incredible, and overall love the program.
You get the full structure. You get your lifting, you get your arm velocity, you get your mechanics, you get your hitting, and the hands-on approach from you.
Infield velo was 68 or something like that. It was not good. My 60-yard dash was 7.7, which is not good. And I was not very mobile. I wasn't very strong. I mean, I'm a big kid, but a lot of it was just from my size. My infield velo now is 80, and my 60-yard dash is 70.
It's insane. What was the root cause for all that?
I mean, it was just staying consistent with the program. I think I had to really stay on, focus on the path that I was trying to get. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to become elite. I was trying to get better. I know the stats at the time. I was like, oh yeah, that's not that bad. But going back and looking, that's not where I should be to play at the next level. Staying consistent with the program really helped me through that time.
I feel like now I'm really dialed into what I'm doing. So when I do it, it's just like this before, you talked about earlier, it's just coming in naturally.
That felt good. I mean, it gave me my confidence shot up. I think you should join in. You do a really good job of replying back to messages, and you're really fast to help out other people with coaching and their swings. You're a pretty good coach.
Hitting improved, lifting improved, velocity went up, speed went up, everything in general went up. Before joining, I tracked my 60 time and I was running at 8.22, and then I
After a while, I did a showcase, and then I ran a 7.08.
What do you think leading cause for that? That's crazy jump.
Probably mobility and probably the exercises that you have in your academy that allow for growth in those little tiny muscles that people forget about.
I could tell I was hitting the ball a little bit harder, and then it got better and better and better, and then my speed picked up with the sprinting training and all that, and I was just getting a lot better. But before that, it was not super good. I've definitely picked up on my hitting velo. Before I joined the program, my velo was 72 off the bat, and at this showcase, I hit 80.
That's insane, dude.
No, so when I first saw your program, you were talking about how to get to college and how to get D1 and get recruited and all this, and that had me super interested because, you know, I'm trying to go D1 and everything, try to get a scholarship and all this, and your program definitely talks about it and helps you walk through it and get you started. Honestly, I would say, like, the program definitely helped me a lot, you know, helped me work through some things, get my visualization for games and all that, just get me prepared.
Obviously, like, my program's remote. Like, have you had any trouble by doing the work that I provide you?
Not at all, it's right in front of you, you know, so it's super easy to get. Search it up, find it, and start working.
Welcome Evan Mendoza to the program.
Cardinals third baseman Evan Mendoza. Giving it a look, finds the railing and he tumbles over, but he made the catch. Unbelievable, Evan Mendoza.
Gran jugada en Evan Mendoza, dos joyas defensivas.
Evan Mendoza makes a great
Grounded up the middle. Mendoza throws off the shortstop. Mendoza field spins.
Short Mendoza throw to first in time. Wow, what a play by Evan Mendoza. Short. Mendoza to second for one. Oh my word, you've got to be kidding.
Evan Mendoza.
For Mendoza lifts one to left. An inning.
Mendoza, that one's sailing back there, and it's gone.
Now, those are some of the plays and the insights of playing baseball at the highest level, not just posting about it. Now, let's flip the script. Here's what my students and families have to say about working with me.
Just share his stories of the kids asking him, what did you do? And his one answer was one word. Evan.
It's an overall great program to improve your metrics, mental approach, your velocity, and your outreaching strategies. Because there's a ton of players I know that are way better than me that had zero offers because they don't know how to reach out to coaches.
Pretty much every possible number when I've gone up. I was high 70s and now I'm aiming for mid to high 80s and hitting the same thing. I was high 80s off machine and now I'm able to put some balls out in the mid 90s.
JT's motivation to want to do it at home, you know, be proactive in his baseball career, and we are able to do these things for him, and it's self-motivated and he's taken that action. As a parent, you want to be able to say yes to something like that.
It's been making me feel much more confident. Like now going into the season, I feel I have all the ability I need and I can just lay and trust that all the work I did will pay off.
I started working out, I was about 120, 115, about 160 now. I trusted it and it worked. If you want it, go get it. It's not going to come to you.
My EV was about 75 and my body weight was around 150.
All right, welcome in. Today is another episode of Coffee and Baseball. Welcome in, guys. I'm your host, Evan Mendoza. I played 7 years of professional baseball between the St. Louis Cardinals and the San Diego Padres, and I'm here to give you guys as much baseball knowledge as I can possibly give you. And as you guys know, the very first thing that I love to do is move this guy over to the next day, because today is day 24. That's way too big. Today is day 24 of 50. We're almost at that halfway point, and welcome in for another episode of Coffee and Baseball, guys. So if it is your very first time hopping into this live, guys, go ahead and put yourself down in the chat with a baseball emoji. So that way I know it is your first time here on a Coffee and Baseball. That way I can just, give you a little bit of props for taking the initiative to learn a little bit more about baseball development, and all that fun stuff. So yeah, guys, one thing that we'll always do is open everything up for some questions, because I want to make sure that whatever advice that I give to you guys is never vanilla. I hate vanilla answers, questions, whatever the case may be. I feel like you guys deserve a lot better than that, especially with all of the resources that are out there in today's world, right? There's so many resources in basically social media that it's very hard to know what's real, what's fake, what's noise, all that fun stuff. So guys, if you do have any baseball related questions whatsoever, guys, feel free to drop them down below in the chat. I am trying to change this up so that way I can give you guys a little bit of a better experience. That way, my chat's not loading up on the other screen, so that makes it a little bit more difficult. But nonetheless, I will get started here in a second, guys. If you have those baseball-related questions, though, feel free to drop them down below. That will help out everyone. So let's do it that way. Don't have me log into these. Okay, there we go. Okay, that should work now. All right. That should be better. Okay, so yeah, guys, we'll get started. Again, another episode of Coffee and Baseball, and let's get into it. So we've emailed about 40 to 50 schools, and only a few have responded. Is that normal? So if you mention basically 40 to 50 emails, right, that you've sent, and only a few, so like 3 people have responded, let's just call a few 3. I don't really know exactly how many is a few. Is that normal? So if we really think about it, like 3 for 50, let's say that's 6 for 100. So basically you have a 6% response rate. In my opinion, like that is elite. That is really good as far as a response rate and what you're hearing back from. Now, the main question is, if we're sending out 100 emails, how many have actually opened those emails? Like that's a huge area. How many have clicked on those emails? Huge area, right? And these are the things that I want you guys to realize, that you have the ability to know these things with the proper tracking mechanisms, right? If you guys just like think you're gonna be able to just send an email on Google and then like that's that, it's not gonna be the best way of going about it. And yeah, hopefully you guys like the hat for today. I was running out of hats in my closet, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wear the cowboy hat because I haven't worn the cowboy hat. And yeah, honestly, I haven't worn it in a while, and it's kind of tight. So once I take it off, I know that there's gonna be a huge red line. I don't know if anybody else out there has like super tight 5150 hats, like New Era hats, that basically leave that red line on their forehead, but definitely have a few hats like that. But guys, feel free to continue asking questions. Yeah, to kind of like wrap up this one though, like a 6% a response rate, that's elite. So I wonder what the open rate is. Like if the open rate's like 70% plus, great job. If the click-through rate is like around 25%, that's also a great job as well. That basically shows the overall performance of your emails. And I think it's really interesting because a lot of, and I did it once again, I always do this. I always forget. So I think it's really interesting to talk about this because this is the area that I think a lot of people could be doing a better job of as far as just tracking what matters. Okay, so if we talk about tracking, right? Batting average, right? Or as you guys know it, average, right? You are 1, 4, 4. And it's, for those that don't know what batting average is, it's okay. I will teach you the very, very basics. So basically it's a math equation. If you take 1 divided by 4, you're basically 0.25, and batting average is always 3 digits. So it's, you're hitting 250. If you're hitting 500, you're going 244. 2 divided by 4 is 50%. So 0.5, but we're gonna add the 2 zeros. So if you're hitting 500, obviously that's really good. If you're hitting 700, that's really good. But these are basically the things that we track when it comes down to your overall hitting performance, especially throughout the season. So we do that for average. Why don't we do that for emails? Right? If we really think about it, why don't we track our performance for emails the same way that we're tracking everything for our average as well? So we need to keep these things in mind when we're thinking about like the overall performance of our emails, because if we just do the very bare minimum of like, let's just say sending them out on Gmail and don't really have the tracking systems built into place, that's going to be where, it really takes the initiative away from knowing the data behind it, right? And this is actually like a really interesting point, because I think a lot of high school baseball players don't realize the emphasis of knowing your metrics, for example. So same thing, and I did it again. Did I really do it again? I keep drawing on the same layer as my little thing in the top right corner, which I usually like to keep on its own separate layer, so that way I can just copy and paste it every single day. Okay, so yeah, if we're not tracking our batting average, or if we don't know what our metrics are, and this is the example that I like to say, guys, because if you are at a restaurant in East Cobb during the summer, right? So like, how many of you guys in the chat are gonna probably play at a perfect game tournament in East Cobb or Marietta, Georgia, or East Point, or I think Perfect Game might have a complex now in Texas that's massive, or you're a West Coast player and you might be playing in like Arizona, Scottsdale, Peoria, where all the minor league complexes are. Maybe you're going to be playing in a Perfect Game tournament down in Florida. Maybe it's in Fort Myers. Maybe it's in West Palm Beach. Either way, guys, these are all the events that you could possibly be going to. Now, let's say like this is the event right over here, right, and these are the fields, right? Ooh, right, really cool. So East Cobb in May, JR 23, absolutely, right? So these are the fields, and right down the street, there is this is a restaurant, by the way, guys, right? That let's just say, that's a Chipotle. That makes it easier, right? And who likes Chipotle? Just about every single baseball player, right? So if you're at a Chipotle down the street from an East Cobb tournament in May, and let's say that a college coach, goes down the road and goes to the Chipotle as well, the same time that you do, around lunchtime, right? And let's say that that college coach is a coach that you're interested in going to their program. Now, that college coach is like, hey, I think I just saw you play. What's your name again? Hey, my name's Evan Mendoza. Nice to meet you. Shake the hand. Hey, just out of curiosity, dude, like, it looks like you can ball out. What's your exit velocity? Oh, I don't know, coach. Okay, like, do you know your 60 time? What's that? Do you know how hard you throw? No, not really. I haven't been clocked in a while. That just instantly lowers your overall status as a potential baseball player. Guys, you need to know your metrics. And again, with the first question that was asked, when we're emailing these coaches, we need to know our stats. When we're talking about our batting average, that's technically a stat. We need to know our stats. When we're talking about our metrics, we need to know our metrics. And this just shows to these college coaches that we're taking this serious. We know where we're at. We know where we're trying to go. We have maybe some benchmarks. We also know like where we came from and all the progress that we've made. These are all the things that college coaches will always want to hear from you. Individually, yes. So I think it's just very interesting to know that there are a lot of people out there that just simply don't know the metrics. And surprisingly enough, like there will be certain times that you might find yourself, and especially the parents that are listening to this live right now, and that's typically why I do my coffee and baseball. I've got my coffee right here. It's my Cuban coffee. It's a little bit, but I try to sip on it every once in a while. It's hard for me to not chug it. But especially you parents, right, that are listening in maybe for the first time. And if you are listening in for the first time, drop a baseball emoji down below in the chat just so I know who's new. But guys, if you ever find yourself on the bleachers next to a college coach, and for whatever reason that college coach is like, hey, who's your son? And you're like, oh, my son's number 8. Okay, like, cool. What graduation year is he? Oh, he's a 2027. Okay, gotcha, cool. What are some of his metrics? I would have to ask his coach. I don't know those things. Like, yes, that's why, and it's just very, very important, guys. It's very important to understand that this is a team effort, right? JR23 baseball first timer, let's go. If you haven't already, JR23, and you are on YouTube, dude, subscribe to me. I don't know if you're a player, parent, either way. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that really goes for everyone, guys. If you're on Instagram, what I went ahead and did this morning, actually, just to make it really, really easy for you guys, on my Instagram profile, and I'll actually even pull it up for you guys to make it that much easier to understand why I did this. So basically on my Instagram profile, right there on my highlights, what I did was, let me make this for you guys. So that way you can see it. Again, I just wanted to make it as simple as possible for you guys to be able to subscribe to me over on my YouTube channel. So what I went ahead and did was, there we go. As you can see on my YouTube channel, or sorry, on my Instagram channel, you can see the YouTube icon. So if you click into that, you'll see this story that I just posted. And if you click this link, it's going to go directly to my YouTube channel. So guys, if anybody is on my Instagram live right now, I want to give you guys the reason on why you should subscribe to me in the first place on YouTube. all of these lives, guys, I've been doing lives for 24 straight days. All of them get uploaded over to YouTube, and it's actually a horizontal format, so you can put it up on your TV, you can put it up on your computer, you can watch it later tonight with your player. So guys, go ahead and subscribe to me over on my YouTube channel. It's going to be, ideally a lot of value that you could give to your player, just by simply knowing who to trust and who to listen to. And I'm not saying that you have to listen to me, but guys, I did play 7 years of professional baseball between the St. Louis Cardinals and the San Diego Padres. I went through the college recruiting process. I was very overlooked in high school. I was never really the best player on my high school team, really ever. So yeah, with all that being said, guys, I want to be able to give you guys the best knowledge on what to expect in the college recruiting process, because this is also the time where I felt most frustrated, because I was looking for that helping hand, that someone was like, putting their hand out to help. But no one came to help me. No one came to rescue me. And to be honest with you guys, no one will go out and rescue you. That's just the way that the world works, unfortunately. Your high school coach is not going to rescue you. He has an entire team, and more than likely he has a job maybe in the academic side. Maybe he's a PE teacher or whatever, right? My high school coach was the athletic director for our high school program. So he has additional responsibilities other than just going, and practicing. Right? So you have to think about these things. Travel ball coaches, they have typically an entire organization to deal with. They have the entire team to deal with. They also have to deal with jerseys, schedules, lineups. So like these individual coaches are not going to be doing the dirty work on your behalf. You need to understand as a player, or really as a parent, you need to instill the qualities for your player to know that he has to be the one doing it himself, to reach out to these college coaches to ensure that he has the best opportunity to play at the next level. But guys, if you have any baseball related questions, feel free to ask. That is exactly why I do these lives. But let's get into some more questions as I was kind of just rambling. All right, so his coaches say he's consistent but not flashy. What does that mean? So he's consistent. So that's not like a bash by any means. Like, being flashy in today's world is, in my opinion, not the most needed thing. But if he's consistent more than flashy, that basically means he's like a grinder. And a grinder, in my mind, is like a guy like Tommy Edman. A lot of people know who Tommy Edman is now. But when he was with the Cardinals, he was kind of overlooked, honestly. He was a really good player. I played with him in the minor leagues a lot. Oh, wait, we got CJ. I got a freshman that wants to play at the next level. Where do I start? It's so overwhelming. CJ, I do apologize for not seeing that. I don't have notifications on Facebook, so I do have to switch over. So, CJ, if this is your first time also, thank you for joining in. Let's go over this, because what I was talking about is basically like, if you're more consistent than anything, that's awesome. And that also means like you're a grinder. You're basically someone that gets the job done, and it doesn't matter how it looks, but you just get the job done. All right, so we have a freshman, so a 2029. Whoa, 2029. Okay, there we go. And he wants to play at the next level. Where do I start? It's so overwhelming. So let's talk about, this will be an easier understanding for you, CJ, of what you're probably feeling as a parent, and also where that timeline should really be. Because in my opinion, like, full radical transparency, I do work with 8th graders that are very dedicated, that want to get ahead of the curve in the recruiting process. We do send out a handful of emails for those individuals, so that way they understand the process, so that way they can get that in motion. Because the biggest thing that I find with really all high school athletes and parents and families, and when they feel overwhelmed, is you're in the car to go to the grocery store, and you're complaining like, why can't I get to the grocery store? It's so far away. It's a few miles away, right? But you forget to turn the car on, right? You forget to press the gas a little bit and move in one slow direction, because it's not about going 100 miles an hour to the grocery store. It's about taking one right step in the right direction that can lead to many great decisions later down the road. So in my opinion, this is how it really breaks down. And by all means, if you do have any questions, CJ, anybody on Instagram, anybody on YouTube as well, feel free to ask. JR23, I'm going to get to your question right after I get to this one, right? So this is what you guys are probably feeling, especially for parents, right? 9th grade, this is, in my opinion, when we start to get into motion, right? We need to start that motion on what we're doing, building those routines, knowing how to go about it in the gym, making sure that we establish the right frameworks for really the routines that we're building, making sure that we're doing the right things in those routines, so that way we don't have to backtrack and play catch up later down the road. Maybe we're just a pretty common mistake in those 9th grade years, we're developing like bodybuilders, not like baseball players. So very, very important that we have a structured approach in that regards. Now 10th grade, so 10th grade, this is in my opinion where your son should ideally be building up a very strong wall, right? He's trying to build that up as much as possible. And really, when you build a wall, when you build a house, what you really need to have is, if we get this motion over here, what we're doing is with that motion, what we're really doing is building a foundation. Hopefully this is making sense so far. We build that foundation based off of the work and the motion that we get into our 9th grade year. And with that foundation, we start to grow even more. Now, once we get into really the 11th grade year, things, in my opinion, start to get so much more refined because there's so much more opportunity out there with Perfect Game, PBR, 5-tool, you have field level accounts, you got NCSA stuff. A lot of people are going to start hounding you for all these things. College camps are sometimes just not necessarily the most effective way to get seen and especially get that additional exposure. So what I like to refer to is, in this wall that we've built in 11th grade year, this is where ideally we have like an ice sculpture. And I'm pretty sure you guys know what kind of ice sculptures look like. At first, it kind of is this box. And then inside this box, the ice sculpture person is going to chip away, chip away, chip away, chip away. And ultimately what we're doing is refining. And this is what really is happening in that 11th grade year. We already know we can play baseball. Ideally on varsity as a sophomore, that would be the goal. For me, I was on varsity as a freshman, so like I always had that forward-thinking mindset. But really that 11th grade year, again, with the foundation that we built, that was bad. With the foundation that we built, like this is the foundation in the bottom, right? So basically that area is, again, the foundation that we were able to generate, not just from 9th grade year and creating that motion into that foundation, but now it's that ice sculpture that we've really created in everything that we've got going on. So next up is really, 12th grade year. And I know this is a couple of years away from you, so it might not necessarily make the most sense, CJ, but like for you or your son, this is where, I want to avoid you hitting the panic button, right? Because senior year, this is where I don't want your son to be playing his senior season with an 18-wheeler on his back, right? Because that pressure, that stress, that's going to affect him, personally out there on the field, like in the classroom, like his mind's going to be on college baseball. And really, his mind is going to be on, why am I not getting the communication that I think I deserve in college baseball from these college baseball coaches, etc., right? Now, the one area that I do want to highlight on, especially in the timeline with everything, CJ, and hopefully this is making sense, and if it doesn't, let me know any other questions that you might have, but it's really this in-between section, in between 10th and 11th grade, because this is typically where it's the truest test, right? And in my opinion, like CJ, your son's in 9th grade, like, in my opinion, it's not a terrible time to start, especially if you have that mindset of more of the long-term game, really. But this is the August 1st date. And I'm curious, anybody in the chat, do you guys know what August 1st really represents? Because I think a lot of you guys misinterpret it as August 1st is when college recruiting starts. And that's the biggest myth that I really want to debunk with you guys, because August 1st is when coaches can contact your son, right? So basically before August 1st, in all of this time, and CJ, even for your son in 9th grade, and that's why I mentioned also for the 8th graders that join into my academy, all of this area over here, we can contact, let's just say, the college coaches, right? I'm just putting NCAA. We're not contacting directly the NCAA, but we're contacting these college coaches because we are the ones initiating those conversations with the college coach. Now over here, the college coaches can initiate the conversation with your son. So really what I refer to August 1st as is, it's really like an exam in high school. And I used to always get very stressed out about exams and whatnot. But exams, it's basically like, okay, this is going to be our truest test on if we were prepared and we did the homework and we studied, right? So a lot of that's going to happen before with really building relationships. So that way, on August 1st, what we're doing is we're receiving phone calls. And this is exactly what happened for me. I was shopping at a mall and I received like a good 5 Power 4 schools, Florida State, Virginia, NC State. There were a couple of schools. Hey, Evan, it's, Mike Martin Jr. from Florida State. I just wanted to say hello. It's August 1st. How you holding up? I'm doing well, Coach. Thanks for contacting me. Yeah, any updates on the recruiting stuff or, getting a couple other phone calls as well? I said, yeah, been getting a few. All right, man. Well, let me know if you have any updates, if you want to stay in touch. And we would love to have you out on a visit sometime, but let's stay in touch. Okay, Coach, thanks. 5 minutes later, I got another one. Same type of conversation, right? And also like the energy. I don't know if you can feel the energy from me, but I'm a little bit of a monotone. But like by having that type of energy, they also recognize like, and this is funny because I do remember this in the phone calls. Hey, you getting some other phone calls? Yes, Coach, getting a few. All right, Coach. Like you're basically like telling them like, hey, you're not the only one, right? But what a lot of you guys, and especially probably 98% of all high school baseball players, you're not going to receive those phone calls August 1st because what you're doing in this area, again, 9th and 10th grade, you're not doing the right things to give yourself the opportunity to get those phone calls. You're not giving yourself the opportunity by initiating those conversations. And again, like I mentioned over here, coaches can contact your son on August 1st, just like, the coaches contacted me, right? Let's go red. Right here, the coaches can contact you. But what are we doing right here? Are we contacting these college coaches in the most effective and efficient way? That's where I'll let you guys decide. Just from a lot of the conversations that I do have with families, I'm going to bet that you guys aren't necessarily using like a strategic approach. Maybe you're doing the spray and pray strategy of just sending as many emails as you can get your hands on and just sending out the most basic and generic email and see who bites. In my opinion, that's like when you go fishing. I don't think anybody would actually do this, but instead of tying, your bait to your fishing line, what you do is you tie one tiny little bait to a fishing line. You throw all of your bait out into the water, and then what typically will probably happen is the fish eats all of the bait, but maybe doesn't necessarily eat the bait that's on your fishing line, right? So it's like you're giving yourself less of an opportunity by not communicating with these college coaches, and especially if you're using that spray and pray approach, which a lot of families will end up doing. But JR23, let's get into your question. So what is more effective as far as getting your name out there? Social media, email, both? I would definitely put that in the category of both. So when I talk about social media, and as a lot of you guys know that have joined into my lives before, we really want to not create content. I don't want you to create content, and especially for your son. By the way, JR, like, are you a player or a parent? That's going to help me understand who to talk to and how to really talk about this concept. But it's really about documenting the journey, right? And by all means, if you're a parent, you don't want to be the one documenting because, like, honestly, that's a full-time job. And I would assume, like, you got other priorities out there as well and other responsibilities. So that's where, like, your son needs to take the responsibility of documenting his journey. We don't want to create content as far as like, hey, look at this cool play and create this and create that and whatever. That's not going to be the most effective way about going about social media. Now, if we're documenting the journey, we're showcasing basically the very simple, progressions that we're making. Great, JR dad is the dad. So like if he understands that he can showcase the progressions that he's making on social media, that's what's going to make email that much more effective, because ideally we do want to email all these coaches over here, and through those emails what's going to happen is this email, and this email, those people engage with that email. And instead of wasting our time sending emails to the bottom half, we now have a short list of basically retargeted emails that we can hit them up. We can also redirect to the documenting of the journey. We can redirect them to our social media channels. We can redirect them to a highlight video that we kept updated, because now we're establishing ourselves in a more effective strategy. So hopefully that makes sense, because like, yes, it's a combination between social media and email. Email is going to be what I like to refer to as email is 1-to-1. So basically you send an email, or basically your son is the one sending the email. Don't be sending emails on behalf of your son. That is terrible. But it's really 1-to-1. So basically your son is sending an email to a college coach, 1-to-1. What social media is 1-to-many. Because when you click post on a social media post, just like kind of like this live, I'm on Instagram live, I'm on Facebook live, I'm on YouTube live. I'm talking to many different people right now, which is awesome. Like I love talking baseball with a lot of people. But also when I click post on my social media channels and we get, a couple hundred likes or a couple comments or whatever the case may be, or maybe a couple thousand views, right? Maybe if we're lucky, we get a couple 100,000 views or maybe 1 million views. I think our most viewed video is like 6 million views or something like that. So we clicked post one time from my account, from my Instagram account, and it went to 6 million, really. That was that one post. But really, it's many, many, many people. That what that actually is, it depends. But yeah, guys. What are your guys' thoughts on the cowboy hat? This is my first time doing a cowboy hat. Like I said, there's gonna be a red line. I already know. Yeah, it's a pretty tight one. I was running out of hats in my closet, and I just thought to myself, I was like, you know what? Got to put on a different hat. I've been wearing the same hats every single day, and I don't like wearing the same hats. I want to make sure that you guys, get variety in the content, and especially in the lives. But guys, if you have any baseball-related questions, feel free to ask. That is a really good concept, though. I'm actually going to record a short form right now about this because I think this is a valuable piece of content that I want other people to see, so that way I'm able to share it to more people. All right, what is more effective as far as getting your name out there? Social media, email, or both? So in my opinion, it's a combination between email and social media because ideally with our social media, what can happen when we're emailing these coaches directly is we can point some traffic over to that social media channel where ideally we're not creating content, but rather we're documenting the journey and documenting the metrics going up and to the right. The reason where email is effective, it is one-to-one, meaning basically if I'm the high school baseball player, which by the way, I should be the one emailing these college coaches, I'm emailing them directly, one person to one person. Now, the great thing about social media is you can click post once and send that out to many people. And like I mentioned in my live is I've posted videos before, and I think our most viewed video is like 6 million views, which is awesome. Basically, I clicked post one time and I sent that out to many, many people. So social media is great for, basically acquiring new eyeballs, and especially eyeballs of college coaches. Emailing coaches directly is going to be different because it's more direct. It's one-to-one. It is a little bit different. All right, what is your biggest difference between high school and college baseball in your experience? Oh, great question. I might have to hit this one up as a live as well, or as a recorded video as well. All right. What is the biggest difference between high school and college baseball in your experience? So in my opinion, high school baseball, the talent level is really 1 to 3 players on each team that has the ability typically to play at the college level. Now, my high school, in my experience, we had about 7 or 8 guys that got drafted and played some professional baseball, so we were absolutely stacked. But typically speaking, the competition that you're playing isn't always going to be the best. So if you think about like a lineup 1 to 9, really the competition is going to cut off right there for the top maybe 3 hitters. Now in the NCAA, this is where 1 literally through 9, you have much better competition. Also, they take care of you a lot better in the college ranks. Of course, you're going to have a pregame spread, a postgame spread. At my high school, yes, they gave us t-shirts every once in a while. They gave us pizza after the games and cool things like that. They also took care of us with great facilities and making sure that we had all the resources to grow. But the thing is, at the high school level, there's not going to be as much funding. So at the NCAA level, at the D1 level and Power 4, I went to NC State University. We had indoor facilities, automatic feeders for hitting machines. So I quite literally had all the resources I could possibly ever need to develop my skills and really play at that even higher level, which was getting drafted in the professional ranks. So yeah, the biggest thing I would say is really just how you were treated, really, because at the high school level, it's high school baseball, right? There's still also another interesting aspect to R23, especially since parents are the ones typically listening to these. Parents are still integrated here. Parents are not integrated here at all. It's actually quite honestly funny, right? And I'll never forget, because there was one time a parent at the college level that tried to infiltrate to the head coach during a practice. wild. But these things are attempted, But at the NCAA level, everyone needs to understand that winning is the most important thing. And this is another area where it's like another thing that's really interesting as far as the difference between college baseball and high school baseball is like parents are still somewhat integrated at the high school level, whereas parents are completely not needed at the NCAA level. So let me explain, because it's not exactly what you think. So at the NCAA level, it's really about winning. Winning is the only priority, obviously, because if a college coach doesn't win, guess what's going to happen? He's probably going to get fired. And if he gets fired, he doesn't have a job, he doesn't have a salary, he doesn't have an income. So as far as parents, like, yes, parents can try to infiltrate to the head coach, but what's really going to happen? Nothing. There's going to be no impact. So like, this is where, like, if you're a parent and you're overstepping at the high school level, get ready for that reality check in the next level, because like parents aren't needed to make decisions at the NCAA level. The only thing that matters at that college level is to win baseball games, and that's the only thing that college coaches are really focused on. So that's just something that I really think is important for you guys to understand, that like it's not what you necessarily think. It's most importantly about winning, and winning those ball games are just like by far the most important thing you could possibly do at that college level. All right. Checking in on a couple of things, guys. If you have any baseball-related questions, you can always ask. I appreciate your attendance and also participation, JR23 Baseball. That's always great. And I do appreciate when you guys ask questions, because that just makes these lives that much better. If we're being honest, like it's not fun when you guys just like sit back and relax, because if we're all being honest, like, I mean, if you guys have already played, D1 baseball, if your son has already played D1 baseball, if your son has already played professional baseball, like, I don't need to be here. Like, I'm kind of wasting my voice. So, like, if your son hasn't done any of those things, like, in my opinion, the best thing that you could probably do is probably ask a simple question to help you or your son get to that next level, considering I've actually gone through those processes. All right, let's see it. Move to Texas with that hat. Let's go. Now, Texas, I actually lived in a lot of places in Texas. So let me list it out, or not necessarily lived, but I've played in a lot of these cities. So let's start. El Paso, Frisco, San Antonio, Amarillo, Midland. By the way, the league that I played in was called the Texas League. So Corpus Christi, Sugarland, I think that's it. I want to say that's it. Frisco. Yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, I played in a lot of towns in Texas. I played in a lot of cool places, especially in pro baseball. Texas, I've always thought was a lot of fun. The big area, like, I loved El Paso for their chorizo and egg burritos, like authentic Mexican chorizo. And then Frisco was probably my second favorite, or maybe borderline 1A and 1B. Frisco I just thought was very clean and nice, outside of Dallas. San Antonio, I lived there for about like 2 weeks when I was with the San Antonio Missions. The facility there was a little bit run down, if anyone knows that town, or not that town, but that ballpark. I remember going to play there, and they had like they had pictures of Rafael Palmeiro that played on that same field in that same facility, and there hasn't been really many upgrades since. So like, as you can imagine, it's like, okay, it's old, right? If Rafael Palmeiro was playing there. So played in a lot of cool cities in Texas, and obviously enjoyed playing in the Texas League in AA a ton. Kind of taking a step back with recruiting again, is travel baseball weighted more than high school due to the fact of better talent on travel teams? Yeah, typically. I mean, the thing that's also frustrating for college recruiting, and then also the parents kind of misunderstanding, at the high school level, your season is right here. Like, let's just call it February to May, right? And then over here, this is their season from February to May. So, like, if they're a recruiting coordinator or an assistant coach, like, what do you think their main focus is going to be on? It's going to be on their current season, right? On their current players that they have within their system to develop them out. Now, if you have a really great recruiting coordinator like Chris Hart at NC State, so one thing that we would do is, like, Monday, we're always off. But let's say, like, Tuesday, we had a game. Wednesday, we had practice. Thursday, we had a game. Friday, no, actually what we would do is Thursday would probably be practice. Friday would be a game. Saturday would be a game. And then Sunday would be a game. So, like, from an assistant coach's standpoint, in season, can't do anything on a Sunday, can't do anything on a Saturday, can't do anything on a Friday. You play on maybe a midweek on a Tuesday. So you really have Mondays, Wednesday afternoon, Thursday afternoons to go to a local high school game, right? Where they're traveling, and I remember Coach Hart, I think the most he would travel is like 1 or 2 hours to go to a local high school game, maybe in like Charlotte, which is a little bit of a drive. But he prioritized that because if we had practice right here from 1 to 5, he would leave sometimes at like 4 o'clock, and that was totally fine. We were hitting batting practice, whatever, and that's usually how we wrapped up. And he would go to the game and get there by 7, and then watch the high school game, and then come back home. And then that way, basically on Thursday, he'd be chilling, right? So this was the extra initiative that a certain recruiting coordinator would do, whereas your typical like D3, D2 college coaches are probably not going to go to the additional effort to look for that, higher end talent to show support at local games. So this is where, like, in the logistics side of things, high school baseball is just going to be more difficult, especially more centralized and local. I do remember, I believe Coach Hart went to come see me play. So, like, think about this. In the middle of the season, right, I'll use a different color. In the middle of the season, let's just call it right here, we were playing Venice, which is typically in the top 10 high school baseball programs in the state of Florida. We were also in the top probably 15, so it was a really good nationally ranked matchup. Really cool, by the way. I was the starting pitcher, and there was probably a good like 1,500 fans at a high school baseball game. Think about that. Really cool. So, like, it was a good matchup because both teams had great competition. Both teams had D1 players and then also professional players that I played alongside with for a long time. Now, in their season, what actually happened, this was their spring break. And what happened is they were playing against Miami. So, for those that don't know, this is Florida. Miami's over here. The high school I went to was in Sarasota, Florida, which is typically around a 4-hour drive. So I believe what happened is Coach Hart, for spring break, instead of taking the team flight, he came right here to Tampa or Sarasota, Bradenton. I don't know where he flew into. But then after that, he rented a car and then went to Miami to meet up with the team. And basically, we were playing on, like, let's say a Wednesday, and the spring break weekend series against Miami was on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So really, he watched me on a Wednesday. He drove to Miami and met up with the team on Thursday, and that was basically his ability to come and watch me in the middle of the season. Now, will most college coaches do that? Probably not. But that's just the emphasis of, like, how, if a certain recruiting coach will want to go watch a certain person play, they'll make the logistics work. But typically speaking, that's where, if you don't have the correct conversations to set yourself up for that, it's going to be difficult. Now, to get back to your question though, like travel ball, typically speaking, kind of like that one game against Venice, really good talent. So that's where these college coaches are going to be like, you know what, I'd much rather wait until my college season so that way we can go to WWBAs, we can go to perfect games, we can go to PBR tournaments, right? So that way we know that there's going to be a concentrated amount of talent. So that way we don't have to be flying all across the country to get our recruiting done. So it's more or less about like the logistics side of things and how certain programs will prioritize just doing everything in a one-stop shop, whereas some people will really go that extra mile quite literally to reach out to certain players, go visit them at their high school, and really make it work when recruiting. And it really kind of comes down to anything else. Like if you're a high school baseball player and you're doing what everyone else is doing, you better expect to get the same results as everyone else. So like if you're a college recruiter or a recruiting coach, right, and you do what everyone else is doing, you better expect your recruiting classes are going to be just as good as everyone else. At the NC State level, at the D1 level, in the Power 4 school, like you can't do what everyone else is doing because you're probably going to have below average recruiting pools, below average recruiting classes, right? And then the talent, when they do become athletes, student athletes at the respective university after they've committed, are not going to be as good as the LSUs, as the Texas A&Ms, as the Tennessees, right? Because they go that extra mile to make sure that they're seen at specific high school, games, and they're going that extra mile, right? So like, yes, travel is going to be more concentrated for the bigger pool of college coaches that don't think that way, but high school ball, it depends on obviously the program, but that's going to be a big separator between travel and high school. But don't necessarily think that you have to do one or another, because that is something that I think is really, really fascinating. I've heard from a good amount of people that they will actually quit on their high school season, and they're just like, yeah, I don't even want to play. It's not even that good of a talent. It's like, there's something about just like playing for your school that you take pride in. You want to win. You want to go and win a state championship. Like, those are all things that I think are valuable, because again, it gets you into that winning mindset. But baseball as a whole, in my opinion, and this might be a hot take, it's very individualized. And I think this is something that we already know about baseball. You go to a showcase, and it's an individual showcase. You get your metrics, right? It's not about winning baseball games anymore. It's basically how good the individual player can be. So like, if we keep surrounding ourselves in environments to only focus on our individual abilities, and we never get the emphasis on how to win baseball games, because there is going to be a point in time at the college level, like I already mentioned to you guys, that winning baseball games will always be the number one priority for these college coaches, without a doubt, right? There's not going to be anything about that. It's about winning baseball games, because these college coaches, it's their livelihood. It's basically their salary. It's the compensation that they're receiving from the university. And if you guys think that, like, you know, you're going to be an average baseball player and you get a commitment and you're going to be given an opportunity to play, like, that's not even how it works. You have to still earn that opportunity to be able to play and start for that specific university. That's just the way the world will work. So hopefully that answers your question. I love my Cuban coffee. It's so good. I really have to avoid chugging it though. There's a point in time where I think I was drinking way too much. Like I was drinking, like, you know, at Starbucks, like the grande. I was probably drinking an entire grande of Cuban coffee. You know how Cuban coffee you're supposed to just like sip at. I was just drinking it like, and I would assume it was probably in like the 200 to 300 milligrams of caffeine. But I love coffee, and it just is so good. It's so good. The way that I've been making it in like the moke, it's been a lot of fun. I think a moke is a thing that looks like this. Me and my drawing skills. I actually love drawing. There was a drafting and design class that I did in college. It was basically like architectural drawings, 3D orthographic drawings, like basically perspective drawings, all that fun stuff. And I remember that was like one of my favorite classes, because quite literally all we had to do was draw. So like, this is kind of what the moke thing looks like. And like right here, there's like a filter that passes through, and basically you fill this up with water. I know, like, you guys probably already know what I'm talking about for parents especially, but if players ever want to get into coffee, this water goes up and then it passes through this filter, and this is where the coffee is. and then basically there's like a nozzle right here with a hole, and it starts filling out basically with Cuban, very, very dark roast coffee. So I know you guys didn't want to learn about coffee this morning, but here we are. No, I wake up excited to drink my coffee literally every morning. That's just who I am. I started drinking coffee in college, honestly. There's some like high schoolers that drink coffee, and I'm like, why are you trying to get addicted to coffee that soon? Like, honestly. There's also high schoolers out there that are probably like, ew, coffee, that's disgusting. So yeah. But yeah, guys, if you do have any baseball related questions, that's what this live is really all for. I want to make sure that you guys also get your questions answered, just like JR23 Baseball did. Also, if you're over on YouTube, guys, ask questions. I can't stress that enough. Ask the questions so that way you get your answers to your questions. Guys, if you're on Facebook, ask a question. If you're on Instagram, head over to my YouTube so that way you can ask questions. You can also subscribe to me over on YouTube. I made it super, super simple, guys. If you joined in earlier, guys, go to my Instagram profile and click that YouTube icon, and then that will basically direct you over to my YouTube channel. I want to make it as easy as possible for you guys to ultimately subscribe to me over on my YouTube channel. So if that's something that you guys are interested in doing, getting basically the best value out there. And by the way, like usually once during these lives, I like to always put an emphasis on social media, and especially the consumption of social media, because we're all on social media right now, whether you want to believe it or not. We're on a live. Yes, it kind of feels like TV because I am doing this a little bit more organic and just real with you guys. But the way that I view this is like, guys, I played 7 years of professional baseball, right? Of pro ball. It's 3 years at the D1 level. So like a combination of 10 years that I want to be able to share with all you high school baseball players, parents, and coaches that are joining into these lives, right? The thing that I refuse kind of to do is try to cram pack all of this down into a 3-second video. I don't know if you can even see that, but like, it just doesn't make sense. Trying to like share the knowledge that I have with you guys, like I don't buy into the fact that like I can even teach you anything in a 3-second brain rotted video as you're doom scrolling. If you're doom scrolling and you're just looking at like cat videos and pet videos and like funny things, ooh, college baseball recruiting, and you get this like instant dopamine of like, oh, my son could play college baseball, and then you just scroll on. Like, I think that's what happens more times than not. Maybe you get intrigued, you look at a profile, you look at some other baseball stuff. Oh, this is interesting. I wish my son could do this. I wish my son could do that. Guys, but for whatever reason, your son's not doing those things, right? So that's where, you know, a 3-second video of like a spark or a jolt of motivation, that's not gonna move the needle. In my opinion, like actually getting that clear understanding of what's going on is gonna help you move the needle. And that's why if you guys are ever interested in working one-on-one with me and actually help getting that needle moved in the right direction, you can always click the link down below in the description if you're on YouTube. Guys, if you're on Instagram, click the link in my bio. Basically, that's gonna take you to the application. Watch that video so you have a better understanding of like who I am and what I do inside my academy. And then basically we'll be in contact as far as if you guys want to, you know, take those next steps inside, you know, the program. But yeah, guys, I really just want to make sure that you guys get the best quality instruction you could possibly get out there, because there are a lot of people that will put just a bunch of noise out there, and I don't want that noise to distract you by any means. So just always keep that in mind. Do you know what the specific metrics are needed for infielders as far as exit velocity, throwing velocity, and 60? Well, it really just depends. Okay, for D1, so like for D1, and this is something that I did for the professional level yesterday, and I probably scared a lot of people away, but basically at the D1 level, as far as your 60 time, like we really want that, depending on position, under 7 seconds, right? So we want that to be lower than 7 seconds or not around 7 seconds. For me, I was around a 7.4, and I was more of a two-way pitcher and you know, infielder. Arm velocity, again, it's going to depend. Outfielders want to be a little bit higher. Infielders, it's okay to be a little bit below 90. Pitchers, you definitely want to be above 90, especially if you're trying to go D1. So what I'll just kind of do is round it around 90 miles an hour, because 90, if you're from the outfield, you want to be probably closer to the 94. If you're from the infield, a good 88 will do. If you're a catcher, you know, it'll be like 84-ish. Catcher's not going to be needed as much, but your pop time is a direct correlation with your arm velocity. Now, exit velocity, this is the tricky one because I never knew what my exit velocity was in high school, but from the students that we work with every single day, like I've had freshmen that have exit velocities off the tee with a wood bat at 97 miles an hour. So like I would say by senior year, we definitely want to be close to that 100-mile-an-hour mark, if not higher, especially off the tee, in batting practice, whatever the case may be. Like we want to be able to achieve that quick twitch movement to be able to hit 100 miles an hour plus off of the tee with a wood bat. That's going to be the truest gauge of just overall strength and power and quick twitch movements that are going to help you understand like basically if you or your son is ready for that D1 level. So hopefully that gives you some clarity, because that's the biggest thing. Like again, like all of these can be broken up into sections, right? Of what does one player have that the other player doesn't. So like the way that I'll explain it is like, let's say you have an above average, green is above average, but for your arm velocity, pink is below average and exit velocity below. Like if your 60 over here is a 6.2, which is blazing fast, guess what can happen for your arm? You can throw probably 83 miles an hour and still get recruited, depending on your position. Your exit velocity could be 94 and still get recruited because, again, based off of your playing profile, you're more of a speedster. Now, again, if we do that as like a similar example, and your arm velocity is 98 off of the mound, but your 60 is a 7.9, which is pretty slow, and then your exit velocity is a 91, which is not that bad, like not that great, your playing profile kind of plays out as maybe a right fielder, a potential first baseman, or actually that arm velocity would probably be best used as maybe like a third baseman or just, you know, a pitcher. Same thing applies with like the exit velocity. If you're an absolute bopper and you have like a 110 EV, your arm can be like an 82. Your 60 can be an 8.2, right? Because we got that big area that's basically moving the needle. Yo, my bad, I was busy, but what's up? What's up, man? How we doing? We got the cowboy hat on today. Howdy. But yeah, guys, thanks for joining in once again. User 53, aka Alex. Hope all is well, guys. Yeah, this is another coffee and baseball. We got about 4 minutes left until the end of this live. So, by the way, Alex, I made it super easy for you guys to subscribe to me on YouTube, and maybe that's the reason why you didn't join in. So here's what I'll do, guys. I'll make it super simple. So if you guys go over to, one second, I shouldn't have done that too early. All right, so if you guys go over to my YouTube channel, or not YouTube channel, my Instagram channel. So basically just click the link in my bio. It's super simple, guys. And look, I'll show you what I did. Okay, so we're on my YouTube channel, I keep saying it. Guys, click the link in my bio, go to this Instagram, and then go to my YouTube. And basically from there, subscribe to me, and then that way you get email notifications when I go live, and then, you know, you'll never miss out on anything. So yeah, I just wanted to make it as easy as possible for you guys as possible to subscribe to me. So Alex, maybe that was a reason why you didn't get to join in, but or you forgot or whatever. Guys, YouTube is also where I host all of these lives, as well as upload the lives as well. So if you just joined in, you're like, man, I wish I was here when he was talking about, you know, D1 metrics and things like that. I'll check it out in your YouTube today and subscribe. Let's go, Alex. It takes one person. That's what I'm starting to learn with these lives. It takes one person to turn into two. And Alex, I'm definitely directing this to you. It takes you telling your teammate, hey, you should check out this dude's live. It's really cool. It's really engaging. He's cool, right? You don't have to say those exact words. Use your own words. I'm not telling you to lie if that's not the way that you feel. But it really just takes you, Alex, telling someone else about my live. And then that other person finds value in it. And then they tell another person. And then that other person tells one or two other people. And the way that we really need to think about it is like, Alex, especially for you, like I view you as like an OG on these lives. And by the way, I used to do lives every single day on TikTok back in like 2020 during COVID. And I used to hang out with some OGs, like literally OGs that would just be in there every single day, building those relationships. And it was really, really fun and cool. So really, Alex, if you tell two people, and then both of those two people tell two more people, this is how it can really grow, and that's ultimately what I'm trying to do with these lives. So if anybody is on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube listening to that message that I just sent. And I see that there's a good 13 people over on YouTube, which is awesome. We got a few people on Instagram and a few over on Facebook as well. Guys, I go live on all 3 of those channels. I would prefer you get over on YouTube though. But again, share it with your teammates, share it with your parents. If you're a parent, share it with other parents, share it with your player, share it with your high school coach, share it with, your travel ball coach. Say like, hey, do you know this guy? Like this is a pretty cool thing that he's doing. He's sharing knowledge, this and that and the other, right? So like, it starts with one person. Alex, that could be you. I just see you here every single day. Same thing with, Rob Rodriguez or something like that. I think you know who I'm talking about as well, because he's in the chat as well. I'm gonna let some of my buddies know for this. Yeah, and then those buddies will tell their parents, and then their parents will tell other people, and then, dude, this is how this grows. And the goal of this, Alex, I'm kind of curious from your perspective. So I want to see what should my goals be, because I always like to make goals together with people, so that way we can be on the same page. Not saying that you're in charge of these goals. I just want to see what should my goal be at the end of day 50 as far as viewers. So on YouTube, for example, we typically get around, I'll say like 11 people consistently watching, like on average. That's basically an average. On Instagram, we'll typically get somewhere in the ballpark of like 6. And then on Facebook, we'll get typically around like 2. So in combination, we get roughly around 20 people every single day live. On YouTube, it's basically called concurrent viewers. It basically means that they're engaged throughout the whole live. Now, that's today, as far as numbers. As far as at the end of day 50, where should we be as far as like a total? Because honestly, like, maybe it makes sense. I want to be around like 50. I think that would be really cool if we get like a concurrent total amount of people, 50. So like, if that turns into 4, if that turns into 12 consistent people, if this turns into 20, that would be not 50. That would probably be like closer to 30. So like, we need that to be, what we got here? If we can get that to 22, if that can be 12, yeah, that's not right. But we need this to be like 30, 15, 4. Is that a good goal? Is that a good goal? Because ultimately, if we can get 50 total people in here every single day, that'd be awesome, because I want to be able to share good baseball knowledge with you guys for free. But yeah, I think YouTube, like 25 people, Instagram 20, and Facebook 10. Facebook's a tricky one because people watch it later in the day, but either way, guys. All right, let's do a quick little recap, and then I'll be on my way, and you guys can be on your way. And let's get into it. All right, we're good. Yeah, that's good also. How does the transfer portal hurt high schoolers trying to go D1? In my opinion, it would be better to go D2, D2 than transfer as they get better, rather than sitting on D1 roster. What's your opinion? My opinion is everyone is very black and white. You either go D1 and you sit, which is kind of the mentality that you're telling me right now, or you go D2, D3, JUCO, and you play. And in my opinion, there's no guarantee that your son's going to play at the D2, D3, or JUCO his freshman year from the get-go. And there's also no guarantee that he goes D1 and actually sits the bench. He could be an everyday starter, but this is the mindset that I want to break you guys out of. And I would love for you to be able to join in to our next Coffee and Baseball, which is going to be tomorrow at the same time, 11 a.m. Eastern time. So that way, we can talk about these things, because a lot of people have asked me that question before, and it's really about just like more of a mindset shift than anything, especially since your son's a freshman. This isn't really a conversation that we need to be having. Yes, the transfer portal is going to be more competitive, but when has it been not competitive to play college baseball at the D1 level? I'll let you think about that. But let's get into the recap for today, and then we'll be on our way. All right, recap of day 24 of 50 of streaming every single day. All right, so let's talk about basically an evaluation event. You're at an event and you go out for lunch and you're at a Chipotle. You need to know your metrics, your 60 time, your arm velocity, your exit velocity. And even for parents out there, yes, you need to understand metrics as well. And yes, it's important to understand tracking for your email, like we're tracking our batting average, like we're tracking our metrics. Yes, that is very, very important. We talked about basically an individual that's very consistent but not flashy. I view them as a grinder. It's basically about getting the job done no matter what. This is the overall like time frame of everything that's going on in high school, where 9th grade, you're starting to get everything in motion. Yes, we can contact college coaches even in 9th and 10th grade. Even as young as 8th graders, our students will send emails to college coaches even in 8th grade. We're building that foundation, and ideally that foundation turns into an ice sculpture where we're chipping away. The one thing that we don't want to do is wait until 12th grade to really get things in motion, because that's when we start to hit that panic button. August 1st is really like a final exam in some capacity, where it's really going to tell how well we did our homework and how much we studied for that exam, especially if we get phone calls from college coaches. Now, social media, I talk about not creating content, but rather documenting. And with combination of email, this is where we can retarget those people that have engaged with our emails. Again, email is going to be more one-to-one, one person to one person. Social media is going to be one to many. We've gotten like 6 million views on one video before, and that's by posting one time from one individual, and we're able to spread so many people out. As far as like basically the difference between high school and college baseball, parents are still integrated at the high school level, where parents are not integrated at the college level. And it's very interesting because obviously college baseball coaches care about winning more than pleasing parents, as you can imagine. Talked about all the different cities that I played out in Texas. We talked about basically how high school baseball, it's hard to time up everything because the college season goes and basically at the same time frame. We talked about like how a typical week might be structured. Maybe if you have a really solid recruiting coordinator, they're able to maybe go to like more of a local school. We talked about how like travel ball and like going to those perfect game WWBAs, those PBRs, it's going to be a good opportunity. We talked about how I make my coffee. We also talked about basically how short form media and trying to cram my 7 years of professional baseball into a 3-second video. It's not what I'm trying to do, and that's why I do these lives every single day. And then we talked about basically projection as far as metrics for a D1 level, and how basically how one of these could trump everything else, especially if you have the ability to play at that next level. Make sure to join me every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern for the lives. Woo, let's go. All right, guys. Well, that wraps things up, guys. If you have any baseball-related questions, feel free to join in tomorrow or just simply DM me. And guys, if you are ever curious on who I am or what I do or how I could possibly help your high school baseball player out, and especially JR23 baseball, there's going to be a link down below this video for either the free How to Reach Out to College Baseball Coaches. It's going to be the 7-step course. That's going to be the second link. The first link, though, is basically to apply to work one-on-one with me inside my remote training program. So I'll leave you with that, and take care. I'll see you guys on the next one.
Welcome Evan Mendoza to the program.
Cardinals third baseman Evan Mendoza.
Giving it a look, finds the railing and he tumbles over, but he made the catch. Unbelievable, Evan Mendoza.
Gran jugada en Evan Mendoza, dos joyas defensivas.
Evan Mendoza makes a great
Grounded up the middle. Mendoza throws off the shortstop. Mendoza field spins.
Mendoza throw to first in time. Wow, what a play by Evan Mendoza. Mendoza to second for one. Oh my word, you've got to be kidding.
Evan Mendoza.
For Mendoza lifts one to left.
An inning.
Mendoza, that one's sailing back there, and it's gone.
Now, those are some of the plays and the insights of playing baseball at the highest level, not just posting about it. Now, let's flip the script. Here's what my students and families have to say about working with me.
Just share his stories of the